Hello, welcome back to Let's Draw with Airanuva. Today we're continuing the work on my mascot character Fixer by adding inks to it. Now, my primary tool of use is the quill/dip pen. I use Speedball Super Black India ink and just a standard 102 quill. Let's see. I'll start with this hand up here because I want this to be the thickest. Before I begin though, I realized that I should actually take up a bit of this pencil. Oh yeah, this is my reference right over here. Don't really need it at the moment, but if the pencil is too thick, once you try and put the inks down, it'll stick more to the pencil than the paper, and that's no good. So, I need this pencil to come up off the paper. Oh yeah, I've added a light here so that I'm not casting nearly as much shadow on the paper. Ironic that it's the part where you'll see the clearest everything I'm doing that I add the light. But okay. Over here on my pencil stuff, I'm going to do some tests. Yeah, prep the quill first, make sure that it's working before I can start on the inks over here. There we are. Okay. Now, this hand, since it's so close to us, we need big, thick ink lines. So. And I'm willing to re-go over parts if necessary. If you're wondering what happened just there, my pen hit the tripod. So I need to move this down a little. You can see the light there. I'll see if I can do anything about it in post to make it less blaring. I actually have several different tools I could use for inking. I have a brush pen, a brush, and the micron pens. However, for something organic like this, it's a lot better to use quill and brush, but I am a lot more comfortable with the quill than I am with the brush. I can't necessarily give much instruction on what is good line weight, except for some things about distance and something about curves, but I can't really give you what is always right for these. Like most things. Can give you some things I found though. Like now I want to ink the arm, but since it's further away and I want to show that it is further, I'm going to start here with my lighter touch and then slowly start adding weight. At least I would if the ink would come out. Yeah, some of you that might know more might be able to tell me that my ink is going bad or something. But It is true that this would come out a lot easier if this was a brush as opposed to a quill, but hey, that is also why I don't use it, because it comes out too easy, and I don't have as much control over it. Alright, it's a bit close, but not precisely what I want. But that can be fixed by just making some lines even thicker. Amazing thing about this is, if you think that this is too thick, it ain't thick enough yet, actually. Because here's the deal. In comics, when inking, everything is going to be shrunk down. Like shrunk down a lot. So, what you think is actually really thick will only just be like a medium thickness once you shrink it down. So, like these really thick lines, those will show up better than this really thin line down here. So, thicken these outlines of the hand here. Wondering why I'm not doing the wrench yet? It's because I want to use a ruler with that, but a ruler is better used with microns in my experience so far, at least with regards to how easy it is to mess it up with a quill. Alright. Thicken this outline a little bit. There. Now that hand is definitely coming towards us. So, that means that we need a medium outline down here to further accentuate that. Now some keys with inking are thinking about the lighting as well as the shape, curves, etc. Well, there's like 7 different keys to inking, I recall. Can't remember all of them off the top of my head. But some of them are like not completing lines so that they appear to vanish and give a sharper look to it, or to cause a shine. Now, this hand here, yeah, it'd be very thin with these lines until they get up to the top. Then I can add some more medium pressure. Like you'll note for those fingers, if you can see clearly enough, that I am not connecting the lines down there. This makes them look a lot smaller than they actually are by making them vanish a bit. And I'm going to add some line weight here so that it looks like it's vanishing again. And do some on the interior so that it doesn't look like she has like huge bulging muscles. Because while she's strong, it ain't that strong. Alright. The inking, when you know what you're doing, goes a lot faster than even the penciling. The penciling, you're designing everything, you're doing multiple layers, etc., etc. The inking, you know what you see, what you're doing. Also should probably correct the misconception that you're probably seeing right here. Inking is not tracing. You do not just go over the lines that you've made in pencil with ink. You are supposed to add depth to them, like what I did with the hand here. If I just traced the pencils, it would look a lot flatter and would basically just look like I really saturated the pencils. Got to be very careful with the face, because any mistakes here are really hard to correct. Especially with hair, you're expected to add a lot more lines while inking than while you're penciling, because you can add tapers a lot better. Also, as I just remembered, it's a lot better to ink from the left to the right if you're right-handed, or from the right to the left if you're left-handed, because otherwise you're setting your hand down in ink. I'm just lucky most of this is dry. Okay, time to wash that pen. Now, you also note that I can just make the eyelashes really easy by just adding a bit of pressure. Even spots where you know you definitely want that to connect, you don't necessarily have to, especially when you're going to add color later. Because the color will add the final line, but you can make it much smoother and cleaner. It's also better to be fast than careful while inking, because being careful, you'll note that your hand starts to shake. I've also been told about breathing techniques for how to do it, but I'm not so good at remembering to do that. Very obviously. Let's see. It appears I'm getting low on time. I think I am going to just make the inking one whole episode here. So, there's that. Got my microns and ruler over here. So, I'm going to use this size 8. Microns are good for when you need a very rigid and consistent size, particularly for buildings and the like, but it's not at all good for things you need to taper, because then you need to physically go in and taper it. I actually need to go back in here and thicken the lines as soon as I have them in. I want the first lines I put down to be perfectly straight. Nearly done here. In future videos, don't be surprised if I end up repeating lessons that I've taught or that I've talked about. Sometimes they're the only thing you can think to talk about at the time when you're working. There's that. Now, little debate on what should go in the center there. Whether it should also be an octagon or keep a hexagon. But right now I'm going to erase some of this. Get it out of my way. Go ahead and erase where dry. Here's some fixes and some things I forgot to add. Some stubborn pencil lines. Shaking the table enough to annoy my camera. There. That should probably keep it in hold a bit better. Yeah. You can hear it, sounds better. Alright, there's that. Let's thicken up these lines here. Okay. Now let's add some black to that pupil. Can grab a smaller micron to add her eyebrow back. There we are. That's nice. Add a bit of taper to this leg. Clean up some errors. Okay. Do a bit of final erasing. There we are. We have some inks that we can work with. Next, I'll scan these in, and we can work on the coloring. So, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.